Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here and it's time for another haul. This haul is mainly containing books that were either given to me or part of a subscription box. So let's look at the books. Firstly, I have been subscribing to a wonderful box called Books and Brew. I've really been enjoying getting the book and a selection of tea bags every month, and so this month I was sent rhubarb and ginger tea pigs, which are one of my favourite anyway, so I'm really excited about having a packet of these. And then I was also sent a book called A Little Murder by Suzette A. Hill. Obviously I haven't picked this book for myself, it's been sent in the box, so it's one that I don't know much about, so let's read what it says inside. London, early 1950s, Marcia Beasley in St John's Wood is discovered dead in her home, naked and wearing a coal scuttle on her head. Detective Sergeant Greenleaf is tasked with solving the crime and bringing meaning to her gruesome death. It's a discomforting matter, not only for the victim's niece, Rosie Gilchrist, eager to distance herself from her aunt's fate and raffish reputation, but to all members of the deceased social circle. The floral Felix and acidic Cedric, awful Vera, self-enamoured artist Clovis Thistlehide, and amiably inane Fawcett family, all, it seems, have secrets to hide and grudges to bear. Reluctantly, Rosie is drawn into a mesh of intrigue, encountering those she would prefer to avoid and uncovering facts she would rather not know. Dragged from her ordered world, she is thrust into one of the mad uncertainty. Who, for example, is the limping midnight visitor? Is the bibulous priest and ingenious as he seems, and will Mrs Burkiss ever yield her keys to the broom cupboard? A host of colourful and comic characters leap from the pages in their hurry to identify the murderer, unravel the mystery of Marcia's life, and discover the importance of all that coal. So this sounds really interesting and fun and something very much out of my comfort zone. So I don't read many mysteries, and so I'm excited to see where this one goes. Next up is a book that I was very kindly lent by my daughter's headmistress, and that is The Truth About the Harry Cubit Affair by Joel Dicker. I'd seen this one about, but I hadn't really sort of listened to what it was about. I don't know whether it's because I thought the cover was a bit dull or that I got an impression it was something that it wasn't, but this sounds like it might be quite interesting. It's about an author, Harry Cubit, who falls in love with a 15-year-old girl who then, I believe, dies, and years later her body is found, as well as a manuscript which sort of tells a bit more about what actually happened. And I think this just sounds intriguing, and it's really piqued my interest. She said it was a really good read, really easy to read, and yeah, I'm interested to give this one a go, so I'm really pleased that she lent it to me. Next up are books that I was very kindly given by friends. Some of my friends, when they're giving away books like I do, we post them on our little group, and if people want them, we send them to them. And I was lucky that Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings was getting rid of The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison, and this is a book that I've been intrigued to read but haven't actually picked up myself, mainly because I've heard that it's very political heavy, and sometimes those books are a bit hit and miss with me, even with fantasy, and so I wasn't sure I wanted to pick it up. It wasn't available in my local library, and I just thought it was fate when Mercedes was getting rid of it. It gives me a chance to give it a go without feeling like I've spent loads of money having to buy it for myself. So thank you to Mercedes for sending me this. The story is about a half-goblin who has sort of been exiled away from where his father, the Emperor, rules. But when his father and all of his half-siblings die in an air crash, I believe, he is called to take over the reign. And it's about how he copes with no sort of advisors, no political aspirations, no training, and also obviously being only half goblin. So I'm really intrigued to give this a go and see if it's something for me. I'm hoping it will surprise me and that the political aspects won't feel too heavy for me, so we shall see. A few weeks ago, I was really lucky to meet up with another booktuber, and her name is Tracy and her channel is Flamingo Reads. I really love chatting to Tracy, and when I found out she lived local to me, we thought, well, we must try and meet for coffee, and so we did, and obviously we met in Waterstones, but I gave a few books to Tracy that she was interested in, and she brought a couple along, and there was a couple that I was interested in, and so I picked up, which is really exciting. So thank you so much to her for that. The first book that she gave me was Please Ignore Vera Dietz by A.S. King. I've read a couple of her books now, and I'm not a lover, but I'm certainly not a hater, so I thought, why not give this one a go? It's won an award, and so I thought, why not? It's about a girl who has always been in love with her best friend, and then one day he dies in dark circumstances, and she is determined to uncover the truth about his death. So I look forward to giving this one a go. The next book is The Day We Disappeared by Lucy Robinson. From the looks of this, I think it's going to be a contemporary romance, but I may not be right. The blurb on the front says, what a book, fabulous characters, dark secrets, and a clever, compelling plot that takes you completely by surprise. The back of the cover doesn't tell us an awful lot. It's about a girl who has run away, or a young woman that's run away from something. We're not sure what it is. And it doesn't give us any clues on the back, and I think the book is about us uncovering the secrets of her past and finding out what her future holds, so I look forward to trying this one out. The next three books were sent to me in a package from Penguin because I won a package of books from the Anti-Bully Reads readathon, which the lovely Sarah Churchill organised earlier or later last year, and I won one of her competition days, and that was sort of a selection of books, so I'm really excited about getting to these. The first one is Sophie Kinsella's Finding Audrey. I know a lot of people have read this and there's been mixed opinions, but I'm excited to try it for myself. Sophie Kinsella writes a lot of adult romance books, and so I'm intrigued to see how she fares in the YA category. I think this is the story about a girl who struggles. I'm not sure if she has agoraphobia, but I don't think she can leave the house, and possibly she suffers from anxiety, and she meets her brother's best friend and things start to change, and yeah, I'm interested and intrigued. I've heard various things about this, so I want to try it out for myself. The next book sounds really exciting. It's The Green Bicycle by Haifa Al-Mansour. I hope I've said that correctly. And I hadn't heard anything about this at all, but it sounds really just a lovely story. I'll read you the back. It says, Wajda has one simple wish, to ride her very own bicycle in a race with her friend Abdullah. But in Saudi Arabia, it's considered improper for girls to ride bikes, and her parents forbid her from having one. Sick of playing by the rules, Wajda invents different schemes to make money to buy the bike herself, but freedom comes at a high price. So I think this is going to be a really interesting read. It says on the front here that it's based on an award-winning film called Wajda, so I'm not sure if that is a film that is out in the UK, but I'll certainly be looking it up after I've read this book. Next up is another book that I hadn't heard too much about, and that is Sweet Honey, The Chocolate Box Girls by Kathy Cassidy. From what I can see inside, this is not the first book in the series, but I'm hoping that won't matter too much. The back says, each sister has a different story to tell. Which one will be your favourite? Honey is going to live with her dad in Australia. Determined to make a fresh start, she couldn't be further away from the tough times at Tanglewood. Her new life is a dream come true until school begins. The girls are different from Honey's friends in England, and only the cute boy from the beach seems to understand her. But when he, the girls at school, and even her dad start breaking promises, who can she trust? So it just sounds really interesting. The other books in the series are called Cherry Crush, Marshmallow Sky, Summer Dream, and Cocoa Caramel. So I think this is for a younger reader. It's 9+, so maybe middle grade audience, but I'm excited to give it a go anyway, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I think of it. Next up is a book called Dark Run by Mike Brooks. And this sounds really intriguing. I bought the rest of the books for myself. This one is a story set in space, and it's about a group of smugglers and soldiers of fortune, and it's about a specific mission they get sent on which causes chaos, and I love those type of books, and I'm hoping it's going to be reminiscent of Fortune's Pawn and A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and so fingers crossed it's going to be a really good read. Next up is a book called Speak by Louisa Hall. This is one that I heard about on Book Riot's channel, and I'm really intrigued by it. I'm not sure if they loved it, but I just thought it sounded amazing. It says, from a pilgrim girl's diary to a traumatized child talking to a software program, from Alan Turing's convictions in the 1950s to a genius imprisoned in 2040 for creating illegal lifelike dolls, all these human lives have shaped and changed a single artificial intelligence, Mary 3. In Speak, she tells you their story and her own. It's the last story she'll ever tell, spoken both in celebration and in warning. So it just sounds really good. The next book I picked up is called The Colour of Rain by Corey McCarthy. This sounds like a really interesting story. It's about a girl whose brother is sick, and in order to get the cure, she has to sell herself, I believe as maybe a prostitute. She sold herself to a man called Johnny, but I believe that perhaps she's looking to fight back. I think she might be on his starship. She sold herself in order to get passage somewhere. So this sounds like a really dark and interesting story. The final 4 books I picked up at my local Tesco's, which is a supermarket, and they had a deal on which was 2 for £7. The first I picked up is called Faceless by Alyssa Scheinmel. This is a story about a young girl who gets into a terrible accident and her face is partially destroyed. She gets a face transplant, but she doesn't recognise herself afterwards. I don't believe she looks like herself, and it's about the sort of trials and tribulations that happen if you're not yourself in terms of how you look anymore and how that might change you. And I think it sounds like a really interesting premise and one that I'm interested to find out more about. Next up, I picked up the latest Nicholas Sparks book, The Choice. I picked this up because I do like Nicholas Sparks, even if they are a bit cheesy sometimes, and I do like watching the films. I'm not as interested in this film for some reason. I've seen the trailer for it. I'm not sure if it's because I don't agree with the actors that they've chosen to put into the roles, but I like to read the book before I watch the film, and I will eventually watch the film, so I'm going to be reading the book. This story is set in North Carolina. It's about a man and a woman moves next door, and despite his attempts to be friendly to her and sort of get to know her, she's very cold and doesn't want to get to know him, and he's determined to find out a bit more about her, and from there the story no doubt takes twists and turns and possibly covers some darker themes. Next is another book that is also a film now, and that is How to Be Single by Liz Tuccillo. I really want to see the film of this. I just can't wait. It sounds hilarious, and so I thought I better get the book to read first. It's about when you go to those weddings, you go to those family functions, and you're the single person, and everyone always says, you know, why are you single? Or, you know, when are you meeting someone? Or have you met anyone yet? And it's just about, I think it's a fun romantic comedy about what it's like to be single. Next is Front Lines by Michael Grant. This intrigued me. It's about a girl who is on the front lines. She's a soldier, and it says the fate of the world is in the hands of soldier girls. So women are the soldiers in this, and it just sounds like a really interesting premise, and I can't wait to find out where this one goes. So that is the books that I've got in the last few weeks. What have you picked up recently? Anything good? Let me know. Have you read any of these? Would you recommend starting with any of them first? As always, I like to chat in the comments, so I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.